So let's talk about what the robotics industry is going to do to the human workers industry. A lot of people think it's going to have a negative effect on the human workers industry. Okay, like there's going to be robots cooking your meals. There's going to be machines cooking your meals. Um, the poisoning rate is going to go down. Um, Customer dissatisfaction rate is going to go down. However, what's going to happen is it's going to be a big boom. So chefs will end up making about, let's just say, chefs, a good, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being great or perfect, right? And then we have the 90s areas, which is the great, right? And we got the 80s, which is good, right? The average good chef will begin making anywhere between 800,000 to at least $3 million a year. 800,000 to $3 million a year. Good chef. We will, whereas now when you go to, especially if you're not local, if you're local, you kind of know the honor of knowing this privilege information because, as a local, you want to know everybody in your local community. But big cities is a little bit different. You go to a famous restaurant in China, Manhattan, you know, the chef. You know what I'm saying? You get to know the chef's name, who cooked your meal, and it's of importance and it's of relevance. A lot of up and coming people who are aiming and aspiring to be great chefs, they expect to have that impact throughout their life. A lot of them fall short of the dollar of achieving that goal. So local, when you go to a certain restaurant, right, that only exists in one area of the world, right, that chef will be an attraction tour, be a symbolism of an attraction tour. So if, let's just say, for instance, Chef Johnson, who is a great chef, he'll average out making between 2 million, 2.5 to about $6-7 million a year chefing. That's what the robotics industry is going to do to majority of the working industries, especially like the chefing industries, where it's minuscule, small skills, that separate you from everyone else. So when you go to a restaurant, on the other side of it, lawsuits will be more prone and prevalent. Whereas now you go to a restaurant, you get some type of disservice, you don't necessarily go and sue the company for $2 million, $3 million, right? You don't necessarily do that. In that time of existence when robotics is taking over, robotics then took over McDonald's, robotics then took over fast food, period. Robotics then took over certain chains and class of restaurants that's not that big, but are pretty big, got an empire, but they're not that big. that great, that good, that upper echelon, you know what I'm saying? The upper echelon type that will be offering this humanic experience of eating from a trusted source of humans, it will be so much more intense. The waiters will be making, let's just say, anywhere between 200,000 to 500,000 a year. Your steaks would be woo, way more expensive than what you're paying for now. It will literally be a luxury to eat at this established restaurant with this chef and his team. So the robotic industry is going to actually pave the way to having people get more employment, more employed jobs where they do less of. Whereas the average McDonald's worker places his order and sits behind the thing and cooks the meal, he'll just be there. It'll be probably 4 people at a McDonald's spot making sure that all the machines run properly. And also, basic service of, hey, how you doing? Just talking, stuff like that. But it won't be like, they'll be like how they are now, full representations of the company. They were more like switch from being servers and chefs to people who understand the system of the robotic computers and the machines to make sure that they continue to function when they malfunction. You feel me? And it'd be a better world that way too. Which means, whereas when you go to a construction site right now, you working on through a construction site, you making $13 an hour. No, you're going to automatically going to be making $20, $23, $24 an hour just as a regular construction laborer. And you're not even going to be even doing much because a lot of this stuff can be done by machines now, by machine operated equipment. You feel what I'm saying? And so dumb people are going to be making $75 an hour. The pricing of houses is going to be more expensive. Not cheaper, it's going to be more expensive. We have, as a society, we have moved from an owning position to a position of renting. And it's better that way because as a whole, as a society, as a whole, within the whole state, each house represents a class of wealth that doesn't have access to certain levels of safety. And it's going to get to a point, we're going to get it to a point where not all houses are going to look the same, but they're going to be of the same quality. You know what I'm saying? Like I was telling you with the floods, the flood communities. You know what I'm saying? You got this house right here that's on this block that got cheap material. You know what I'm saying? You got this one that's made of brick, and you got this one that's a steel bin home. You know what I'm saying? All of that's gonna be no more, and you're gonna have to, your rent, your what you're paying for mortgage is the same thing you're gonna be paying for rent. But the only difference is your money is gonna go towards ownership. Not towards the individual home, but towards it's going to go towards, like, let's just say, for instance, an 18-year-old is renting, right? The 18-year-old now turns 20, who later turns 25, who later turns 32, right? All of his payments that went towards rent is going to go towards a home that he would be able to pick and say, this is where I want to, this is what I want. This is the class of the house that I want to live in. You feel what I'm saying? And the total of his rent from when he first initially started paying rent to the day he said, this is enough, this represents the class of home that I want to live in. Let's say in total, it's a total of, just roughly speaking out loud, 800,000. Okay? Let's say in total, it's a total of 800,000. Whereas that would be viewed as his credit limit in today's time. No, it's going to be viewed as his purchase towards the not the transgression, but towards the, what do you call that? When you go through a process, because we're going through a process of uplifting the world and whole communities, a country, right? We're getting it to the point where when a Texas flood happens, buildings, and we know that we're on the flood alert, schools in this area is shut down. And if you live in this area where it's going to flood at, you're going to have to stay in your home, and your building will rise. It'll be like a great adventure ride, not like going super fast, but it will have that type of mechanical equipment to where your building will rise and you'll be able to safely bypass the dangers of flooding. You feel what I'm saying? So, governments will provide food for these flooded families and drop it off on their rooftop. You feel what I'm saying? And have a safe way of giving it to these families just in case they need a little extra care. You feel what I'm saying? Medical treatment, same thing. So, but in order to do this, we have to stop the mine's is mine's and yours is mine's. And we have to make progress towards ours. So all the rent that this 18-year-old pays from the age of 18 to 32, his total bottom dollar of all monies attributed to renting and living in this establishment, right? Light bill, all of that, right? Will be the totality of the house that he will be giving, okay, for a small rental fee that will be considered mortgage. You understand what I'm saying? So if his total is 800,000 and he gets in this, let's say he wants $1 million home, and they say, okay, well, the difference is you have 800,000 that we can account you for, but the other 200,000 you don't. So we'll have to increase the payment. You feel what I'm saying? Like how they would do in the car business. So, whereas if he just accepted the $800,000 home, he might get payments of, for $800,000 house of today's time, he might get payments of $1,200 a month. But if he want, or maybe $2,000 a month, but all inclusive. But if he wants the $1 million home, he might get payments of $3,000 plus. Exactly. Basically paying the interest, basically. And and at that point we're gonna have like a at that point we're gonna have like a kind of like, it's not gonna be a king, because it's gonna be one man who has the control and interest of majority of the world, or of the state. I'm sorry, not of the state, but of the country. And that individual in America will be viewed as a king, but won't be labeled as a king. You know what I'm saying? So let's say if Elon Musk jumps up to 800 million in the next 6 years, I'm sorry, 800 billion in the next 6 years, 4 years, 5 years, and this starts coming into fruition, he'll be viewed as a king. So in other words, he will get tremendous tax benefits and all kind of benefits for him to reallocate 400 billion of those dollars, or whatever amount he desires to put towards it, into the transformation of this new form civilization and society. This is going to be a whole new world. You feel what I'm saying? And that's the world we live. That's the world we're moving to. And it's slick already here. You know what I'm saying? It's slick already here, and it's already happening on a minor scale, but it's still being ran off the same system. Now, me, I never rented nothing my entire life. So at the age of 38, I would be considered homeless if I was, because I don't have no history of running things. So I would have to deal with the finances that I have. But for those of you that went to college and paid to stay there and all of that, and had your own rent and, you know, working a job, all your money that you paid will go as an invisible credit, automatic attribution, right, towards a home that you would be able to afford, that you probably wouldn't be able to afford you wouldn't be able to afford the home in the with the dollar amount that you make at the moment. You see what I'm saying? So if you make $20,000 a month, you pay $5,000. 18 years old, you was making $20,000 a month. You were paying $5,000 a month, all the way up to the age of you being 35, right? 5 times 5 equal 25. 5 carry over to 2, 10, 12. That'd be 135. No, wait a minute. You 35. You 30. Let's say you 35 years old. 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. That's 17 years. That's a lot of math there, buddy. Hold up. I'm going to flip this a bunch of ways. Hold on. So let's say, for instance, let me give you an example. Alive. It should come out to be about, shit, that sounds like $135 million. But let's say, for instance, you're 18 years old, subtract from 35, right? That leaves you with 17 years, okay? 12 in a month times 17, 204 months times 5,000. Just throwing out a big number. Now that's $1 million. Yeah, that's $1 million. $1 million. $1,020,000. So basically, this will be the home you will receive, and your payment on it will be at a discount than a person who has to come up with this money outright because he hasn't been paying rent. You feel what I'm saying? When this new thing comes into fruition, when this new way of living comes into fruition, this would be what you would receive. The average person who paid for $1 million home is probably paying about what, $20,000 a month if they rent and own, maybe 15,000. So let's say they were paying $20,000 a month renting to own $1 million home. Just throwing out numbers, I don't know the actual fact, but let's just say at guesstimation, if they were paying $20,000 a month to rent $1 million home, rent to own $1 million home, you would probably pay anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000 or $9,000 on mortgage, and that'll be considered your mortgage. So you'll walk into the home for free. You'll get the home basically for free, but it will be based off of you continue to make your payments to do the mortgage and stuff like that. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what'll happen. And because the world will already be preset. You feel what I'm saying? So where you see this house and that house and they don't look of the same quality, the man upstairs who got all the money will provide the living quarters for the people. You feel what I'm saying? In relations to the dangers of the communities and the natural occurrences of the weathers and all the other mishaps, tornadoes, all of that stuff. You feel what I'm saying? And that's the world we coming to.